It's the Powerhouse Woman Show. You're a powerhouse woman, successful, accomplished, but you know the time has come for something else. To pivot, make a shift, or do what you've been putting off for a long time. I'm Monica Pierre, a media entrepreneur, Emmy Award-winning journalist and coach, and I'm on a mission to help you figure out your path forward and create powerful new stories about your life and legacy. There's more ahead. Time to do the greatest work of your life. And there is more ahead and time to do the greatest work of your life, even if you've had a body of work that has been quite impressive. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about using your faith, using your wisdom and experience to continue to do the work that you're called to do. We are delighted. We are joined today by Sister Marjorie Hebert, and she is a Maronite Sister of Holy Cross, and she told me that she has been doing this faith work for 60 years. This is her 60th anniversary, and that is amazing. And we're going to talk about our work, particularly for those of us who really believe that we're called for these missions. And Sister is also the president and CEO of Catholic Charities, Archdiocese of New Orleans. Sister Marjorie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Monica. I'm delighted to be with you.
And I know people are saying, Monica, you are lying. Sister has not been doing this work, this ministry work for 60 years, but it's been 60 years, right?
I promise you it has, and my subtraction is correct.
Your subtraction is
I
correct.
entered our congregation in 1960, feeling a call to be like the sisters who taught me. And at that time, they were all teachers. And that's what I wanted to be, a teacher. And I've done that, and I did the first 25 years, and then responded to many other calls that came my way.
That is amazing. So what do you think initially, if you had to call it, was the calling on your life? Was it to be a teacher? Was it to bring people closer to the Lord? What do you think was your overall mission?
Actually, I've always said to be like the women who taught me. And they were women who taught us in school, but they also taught us the qualities of life, to be responsive, helpful, to be women of faith, to be children of faith. And we always acted in that name in the studies that we did and the work that we did in school through school clubs and organizations. And that's why I pursued a life and a career, if you will, with the Marianites of Holy Cross. And as I said, for the first 25 years, I was engaged directly in the classroom and Catholic school education as a teacher, a principal, and a superintendent, and then at a broader level, even sitting on national committees.
Well, at this point in your life, you are now the CEO and the president and CEO of Catholic Charities, Archdiocese of New Orleans, and you're putting your faith in action all the time. And this is really a large organization. Why did you say yes to this opportunity?
Well, first and foremost, because the Archbishop asked me to do it. And secondly, primarily because I felt it was a call for the next thing that God had lined up for me. I had always had the option of not having to go look for work to do. It found me by invitation and call, either from a person like the Archbishop or another entity asking in various programs and positions that I've held in that second group of 25 plus years. Presently, I never envisioned myself to be in the work of social services, counseling, and I still think it's education, but it's a broader classroom at this time. And I bring with me to this all the experience in every position that I have held. Every work that I have done has been a build-up to what I'm called to do now, and has fully equipped and prepared me to work with the hundreds, and we're 500 employees in Catholic Charities, and I work with a strong group of leaders who help me to help us respond to the call of the church for charity.
And Sister Marjorie, I was struck by you saying the next thing. So sometimes powerhouse women, people who've been very successful and known, or having a brand in one way, sometimes there is a hesitancy to do something else because they're kind of comparing. Do I now have to start over? What's your advice to women who are having the opportunity or hearing the call of doing something now or something else or something different?
Having someone invite you, ask you to respond to a particular work is a clear indication that they see something in us that we may not see in ourselves. And so that's always and has been for me, um, the for me it's been that God is leading me to this next work, this next challenge in life. And we've got to be responsive that we do not always see the best of ourselves. And not always do we see the weakest part of ourselves. And that's critical, I think, to listen to those that are calling us, helping us to take the next step sometimes in life.
Mm. We all grow. We can't step into the same river twice, right? How is Sister Marjorie of 25 years ago different today in her role as president and CEO of Catholic Charities Archdiocese of New Orleans?
In the scriptures it reminds us to grow in wisdom and grace before God and man. So I think with the many graces I've been given, that's the opportunity for more wisdom as I've done and worked with many good women and men all along the way. And I know enough through the wisdom of my experiences to know what I don't know when called upon for a new or different work. And I'm smart enough to know what I don't know and find somebody else, a colleague, a friend, uh, a counselor that can help me to know how can we work together. And that's the bulk and the foundation of my work here at Catholic Charities, working with the many other men and women in leadership among our workers to know how to best respond.
Yeah,
I can't do it by myself.
right.
Um, and I as I said, I'm smart enough to know that.
Right. And sometimes there's doubt, right, sister? Or especially in your role, you have a lot of staff, you have a lot of people you're responsible for. Some things are different and new. And sometimes powerhouse women let some of the things that they don't know. You said you're smart enough to know what you don't know and surround yourself with those people who do know. How do you deal sometimes with second guessing? Not that you might have gone through it, but sometimes a little self doubt that powerhouse women often face.
Just before talking with you this morning, there were a couple of things that came my way that I was doubtful of. But someone gave me the quote of Billy Graham um, not long ago. Billy Graham offered us, "The will of God will not take us where the grace of God cannot sustain us." That I strongly believe in that, and I've got to trust that somehow the grace of God is going to help me. And then I have to be practical, listen and be attentive to those around me and those systems that are there for me to utilize and not be totally reliant on myself. Use my instincts and the giftedness of others. It's a better approach most of the time to a specific plan of action.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, we're at the point now in the Powerhouse Woman show where we talk to our guests about advice and talking about powerhouse women. So we call it the Powerhouse Woman wrap up. So here's the first question. I'd like you to complete this sentence. A powerhouse woman is.
A woman who believes in herself, who believes in the power of God through the work of others and has a strong commitment to want to do good.
Ah, a strong commitment to want to do good. Oh, that is powerful. What about advice that you have received throughout the years and you work in ministry for 60 years now? What's the best piece of advice that you've received that someone gave you directly?
Um, a retired Army colonel told me as a very young new principal, be yourself, use the gifts that you have. Don't try to be like somebody else. Know who you are and what you have to give and give it your fullest measure.
Wow. That's a powerful piece of advice. Yeah, yeah. I mean, especially when we're starting off something new, we're starting off new in our careers or in life, and we're trying to maneuver it, we tend to want to emulate and be like someone else, model them, and sometimes copy them. So you're learning and have learned that that's really not the way to go.
And I'd say to my sisters out there, in the fullest measure, women, you are my sisters. I'm not just talking about the Marionite sisters. Um, Ladies, let's commit ourselves to daily being engaged, effective, productive, and always open to learn something new about ourselves that will make us a better instrument of peace and processing whatever is needed to help us make a and build a better community for ourselves and for one another.
Oh, that is indeed powerful. Thank you for that. What's the biggest lesson that you think you've learned about yourself that might bring you delight or something like, wow, I did that?
I'm amazed that uh, I've had so many gifts from God, and I know that whatever I do and however I do it is totally because of the giftedness that God has blessed me with and the ability to work with good men and women throughout my time of service.
Wow. Speaking of your time of service, you are the president and CEO of Catholic Charities, Archdiocese of New Orleans. Do you have a typical day? Can you walk us through what your day looks like? Or is it every day so different?
A typical day is be open to whatever the Lord is going to send to you in that day. Um, I, I, the most absolute thing is I start off every morning with prayer and church. And coming to the office, it's just, I have a schedule, a regular schedule, but to know that there has to be flexibility and accessibility to be open to the movement of the day. No 2 days are alike.
But you start your days the same.
Yes, yes.
Wow. That's
And I
amazing.
end it the same. Lord, thank you. Please wake me up tomorrow. I have a few things left to do for you.
Now that's a powerful prayer at the end of the day. Please wake me up tomorrow.
Yes.
I love that. Well, you do a lot of work. I've had the pleasure, Sister Marjorie, of interviewing you in person for my other types of shows and all the work that you've done throughout the years. How do people get in touch with you or learn more about what you're doing with Catholic Charities, Archdiocese of New Orleans?
I can be contacted through our Catholic Charities website, www.ccano.org, or for those wanting to call directly, we have 504 523 5755.
And can people
Uh,
email you if they like?
yes, and my email is simple: SRMARJORIE at ccano.org. Sister Marjorie at catholiccharities.org.
Very good. Well, this has been delightful. You've blessed me. Thank you for blessing our those who've been watching, and continue. Is there something else you'd like to do that you think that you haven't done, or you're just open to where you're led to go?
I'm just ready to wait for the Lord to say, do this, planning that He's going to wake me up tomorrow because there are things left to do.
Well, I'm going to pray that prayer to my tonight. I promise you, Sister Marjorie. Thank you for being on the show today. You've been a
Thank
delight.
you, Monica, and God bless your work.
Thank you. God bless you. And all of you powerhouse women, thank you. And may God bless your work as well. We'll talk next time. Bye bye.